What's up, guys? I just finished reading Doomsday Clock, number 12. It took us 2 years to get to this point. Alright, that series started November 2017. It's finally ended. And guys, this has been a crazy series. But the big questions we have is, was it a good successor to Watchmen? Did it answer the questions we have about Rebirth? And, biggest question of all, was it a good series? Well, you come to the right place, and I'm going to answer all those questions for you right now. What's up, DC Nation? Welcome back to another video. And guys, if you're new to this channel, make sure you subscribe because I release great content every week, everything DC. And if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Now guys, this series was all about pretty much, a lot of people have been thinking, oh, is it like the sequel to the Watchmen series? I don't think it is, alright? I think it's more a DC comic story with Watchmen characters in it. And I'll elaborate on that more in the video. And guys, biggest thing, did answer Rebirth about how Wally West and stuff. Honestly, I still don't know that much about Wally West. Like, yeah, Dr. Manhattan, he was just one of those forgettable characters. He got forgotten and stuff. He's a great character and stuff. But I feel like he's the one thing about Rebirth that still hasn't been, like, answered fully. Like, we still haven't seen him came back. I know it's been talked about in, like, that Flash Forward series, but that series looks boring as crap, and I'm not reading it. I didn't like what Tom King did with Heroes in Crisis. So yeah, Wally is the only thing that is still left out in this whole DC Rebirth thing. So I feel like DC Rebirth has ended. It's now a whole new era. The multiverse is coming back. A bunch of different things is happening. And Wally West is kind of he's still left behind in that Rebirth era. So I don't know what they're doing with him. But Doomsday Clock does answer every single other question, right? About Dr. Manhattan against Superman. If you're expecting this series to go straight into the Superman versus Dr. Manhattan battle, well, it doesn't. It waits until freaking the 12th and final issue to get there. But it makes sense, alright? Now, most of the first half of the series, like the first 6 issues, is all about Watchmen stuff. Like, we see this new Rorschach, he returns. That was the big reveal in the first issue. We meet these new characters, Mime and Mariette. I really like them, actually. They're very, like, crucial to the plot. And then we have Batman, he's central in it. Like, he actually meets Rorschach, doesn't believe him about the end of the world is coming. Superman's not in it really at all. Like, he shows up at the end of issue number 1, and that's it. He doesn't show up again until issue number 8, I think. Yeah, issue number 8. But at the start, we have Joker. He shows up. He's pretty awesome. The Comedian returns, which the Comedian, I thought, that was well done, alright? When he showed up in issue number 3 and, like, shot at Ozymandias, pretty dope, alright? It was pretty dope. Now, seeing Lex Luthor and Ozymandias meet, that was pretty awesome, because they're both super smart. And Ozymandias putting his intellect against Lex Luthor's, I was like, whoa, this just got really crazy. But guys, the biggest thing that was cool about the first part was it was very intriguing, alright? I wanted to come back to it each time. Like, there's no part in the first part that was, like, kind of boring. Like, I get, like, some people didn't like issue number 4 because it was kind of, like, a long origin story for the new Rorschach. And honestly, I like the new Rorschach. I know a lot of people are like, oh, why they not just bring back Rorschach? Why'd they make this fake person come in? But then we find out about his origin, how it's connected to another guy from Watchmen, who's like a scientist, I think. I forgot, but he was a big character in Watchmen, and how everything like came together. And this guy, he's seen the whole world get destroyed before. And now it's gonna happen on this universe, so he's like, I gotta fix this. And see him team up with Ozymandias, and Ozymandias literally lied to him. He's like, oh, I got cancer and stuff. But then he finds out from Dr. Manhattan, this guy don't got no cancer. He's just been manipulating you the whole time. And Rorschach even gets like, he goes through a lot to like further Ozymandias' plans. Like, he gets stuck in a cell because Batman's like a dick, and Batman's like, hey, I've believed a lot of stuff before about the universe, but I can't believe you, and I think you're a psychopath. Like, okay, come on, Batman. Like, I like Batman in this series. I like him. He has some kick-ass action sequences. When he actually comes to Rorschach at the end, like, oh, I was wrong, that was great. But in the beginning, where he just leaves him in a cell, I'm like, come on, Batman, you know better. Give this guy a chance. Now, Ozymandias, again, he was great in this, comedian, badass character. I liked how they did him. He was great in the first half, but he kind of got swept off the mat in like the second half a lot. He just came back at the end, like the 12th issue, and then got sent back to getting killed in Watchmen. So I was like, alright, that sucks for him. But the art in this series, and guys, I'm just going over the first half pretty much right now, but the art in this series, Gary Frank, he's all-star, right? He's really awesome. Especially in issue number 3 where Ozymandias is getting chased by the comedian and he's jumping through a window and stuff. Really great artistic style. I really like it, right? And then also, it just feels like Watchmen in the first half. Like how the narration is, how it's very critical, it kind of goes against society, talks about actually society today. Even if you disagree or agree about it, it's still like very interesting. And it makes sense with like the title, Doomsday Clock. It's like approaching the end of the world. And Batman doesn't see it, other heroes don't see it. And it shows that like the whole point of this series is to bring back characters from the past. Like what about this? Christ on Infinite. That was about pretty much making the multiverse go to one Earth. I feel like this series is more about bringing characters back. So like because pretty much DC Rebirth, we got rid of a lot of storylines, like 10 years of storyline pretty much. And now they're trying to bring that back in this series. So it's interesting, but I feel like it's a lot of work to just swipe out continuity and then spend like 4 or 5 years bringing it back in. And the resolution, it depends. Like, it's a cool resolution, but was it worth the wait? But yeah, guys, the first half pretty much wraps up with all the DC characters, a couple of them, like Batman stuff, Joker. They collide with the Watchmen characters. We finally meet Dr. Manhattan again, which I was like, come on, I want some Dr. Manhattan. And his whole thing is, he pretty much moved the Fly from Green Lantern back in the 40s, so he died. Then Clark Kent, or Superman's parents, died. And then the Legion of Superheroes, when the Justice Society of America, were never made. Alright, they're never made. And then he sees in the future Superman's going to punch him and everything goes out of existence. Everything goes to darkness. So that was pretty much the end of the first half. And when we got to that point, I was like, damn, this is pretty great. Like, issue number 7 was probably my favorite at the time. Like, it was really good. Because issue number 1 was great, but kind of slow. Like, I was like, alright, by the end of the issue, we had New Rorschach, Ozymandias was back, and pretty much Superman was like, oh, my parents are dead. That's pretty much it. That's all that happens. So I was like, okay, that's alright. Issue number 2 was better, because we saw Batman Rorschach meet by the end. Issue number 3 was pretty awesome. I really like issue number 3, because we saw the comedian return, that whole thing with him and Dr. Manhattan. Pretty awesome. Issue number 4 was okay. It was one of the weaker ones, because it's just Rorschach's origin. That's it. Now, issue number 5 was pretty great. Oh, that's another thing. Johnny Thunder. Forgot to mention him. Johnny Thunder is in this throughout the series, and he's pretty much like the callback to the Justice Society of America, and then Siren Girl is in this, and she's like the callback to the Legion of Superheroes. And they pretty much show up, but they don't have that much to do. We just see how they're doing. Like, Johnny Thunder, he's just sad. He's really sad. Like, his scenes in this comic and this series, honestly, almost made me cry. So I'm like, damn, this guy is living a bad life. He actually is. And then he gets beat up by these criminals and stuff, but then Siren Girl saves him. And Siren Girl, she feels fine. Like, after reading the Bud way back, I can't believe the Bud, it's been like a year and a half since that came out. But still, the Bud explained, no, 2.5 years since the Bud came out with Batman the Flash, which that series is good, but kind of ended, like, kind of underwhelming. And how the whole Flashpoint Batman thing happened in Tom King's run. Let me not get started on that. But if you want to hear what I think about Flashpoint Batman, go in the I am top right corner and click on my Batman number 85 review. But guys, pretty much Siren Girl in that series, she was kind of crazy. She was going like unhinged. But in this series, she's more like put together, which I like. I don't want a crazy Siren Girl. I want her to be like she's put together. She knows what she's doing and she's going. But yeah, guys, that was pretty much the first half. Issue number 6, that was good. That was more of a villains issue, and we find out more about Marriott and Mime, their origin story, which they're the all-stars of this series. They're like the breakout characters, and I really like them. Issue number 7 brings it all together, like I said. Then we get to issue number 8, the second half of the series, pretty much. And that issue was okay. We finally got Superman into play, but I thought it was a little more boring, alright? I wasn't as intrigued as, like, previous issues. Like, it left on a good cliffhanger, But then that's when like the delays on the issues got worse. And guys, let's talk about the delays in this whole entire series. At first, when we were doing issue a month, the first 3 issues I think were like monthly. Like we saw an issue each month, and I really liked that. It kept the pace going. But then issue number 4 and issue number 5 and 6, they got delayed like to 2 months. But then when we got issue number 7, that was 2 months too. But then issue number 8, that was delayed at 3 months. So the pace was off, and the issue itself was not worth the wait. Like, it was still a solid issue, but I was expecting like amazing. Then issue number 9 came, and that issue was really good. It was cool. It was a bunch of action. Dr. Manhattan goes against like all these heroes on Mars. Pretty great. And the ending to it was pretty cool too. But then again, the delays really kicks off the pacing. It's hard to keep up with the series with that. Now guys, the art by Gary Frank in issue number 9 is really awesome. Seeing all those heroes show up like the Doom Patrol, and the timing of it too was pretty great. I really like that. Now issue number 10 was one of my favorites. I like the whole Carver Coleman thing, how Dr. Manhattan kept saying, hey, this year you'll be famous, this year you die, and all that stuff, and how he's like predicting the future, and he figures out that I'm the villain. He's like, oh, I'm actually the villain, but I didn't want to. But then again, even with that issue, like, the pacing was off, because I was like a 4-month delay. 4 months to wait for an issue, that's crazy, alright? And then issue number 11, that issue was more like just prelude, like between stuff, like bringing stuff together, and we finally get Superman and Dr. Manhattan meet up by the end of the issue, so that was cool. But it just felt like by this time, we were more just like, okay, let's just get to the conclusion. It's been like almost 2 years at this point, and I was like, alright, I just want to see Superman and Dr. Manhattan fight. I've been waiting a long time for this. Then we got the final issue, which I just read. Like, I just finished reading. And it was good, but if you were expecting a Superman and Dr. Manhattan, like, beat down, you don't get that at all, alright? There's not even a fight between them. It's just Black Adam and his forces, which that whole subplot with Black Adam in this series, that was cool. But it felt more like filler in the second half. It was like, okay, we need some story to fill it out. But it was not bad, but it was kind of boring compared to like the first half. Now, we find out that actually Superman was actually trying to help Dr. Manhattan and punched a different guy out of the way, didn't punch him. So now existence is not getting obliterated. And Dr. Manhattan gets inspired, and he's like, oh, Superman is hope. Now, before I get to that, we find out Batman's like, oh, I was wrong. He goes to Rorschach. And that seems amazing. Batman's like, Rorschach, put on this mask, make it better. Because Rorschach is known to like kill people. It's like a bad name. But the new guy makes it into a name of hope. So I really like how Batman gives that speech. It's one of the best scenes of the series. But yeah, guys, the final issue pretty much ends with like Superman, Dr. Manhattan going throughout the timeline, changing everything back, making Superman inspire hope. The Legion of Superheroes come back, the Justice Society of America come back, and they fight off Black Adam, and everything kind of wraps up nicely, and it shows like the metaverse, it's even bigger now. Like, it's no multiverse. It's not just one Earth. No, it's a metaverse. So I wonder how DC's gonna do with that. Then Jeff Johns, who's the writer of this, pretty much says like, oh, Dr. Manhattan like narrates how, oh, crisis is coming. Different crises from like 2020 to like 2100. So that was pretty crazy, but I don't think that stuff is gonna happen because it's been delayed so much, and Tom King's ruined stuff. The Justice League series has went on a different path. Everything's went on a different path than what Doomsday Clock was supposed to do. So it's a cool series, but all the stuff that Jeff Johns is like predicting in this issue, it's not gonna happen, right? It won't. I hope it does. Like, if it happens, that'd be legit. Like, seeing Superman go against Thor and Hulk, pretty legit. I'd like to see that. But guys, it wraps up, and he pretty much says like Superman's hope. He inspires us all. I should not like mess with the timeline. But even if everything is going to shit, like all these crises and stuff, Superman will be the one key factor that will bring everything back to hope. And it shows like even Watchmen's universe that's like destruction. It's like bad universe. Like everything went wrong can be brought back to hope by Superman. So I feel like this whole series, this whole rebirth thing, this whole Doomsday Clock, this whole 4 to 5 year journey that we've been on since 2016 has just been about by just pointing out the fact that Superman is hope, and he's the one thing that can bring us back from the darkness. Now that's nice and all, but was I really waiting for that? Like, to just like mess up everything and then bring everything back just to show, hey, Superman's hope? It's a nice touch. It gives the series an awesome ending. I like it. but I don't say it was worth all the wait, alright? I wouldn't wait 4 or 5 years for this ending. But if it was as it was supposed to be, a year-long series, this would have been the perfect ending. I would probably give this issue a 10 out of 10. But I ended up giving this like single issue like an 8.8 because I still thought it was solid. But it could have been perfect. But it just doesn't line up with the current timeline of the DC Universe. So it kind of just doesn't really make sense. But yeah, the issue ends with like Mime and Mariette having a daughter. And they meet Clark Kent. And it shows that Superman, everything's repeating now. Everything's back in play. Legion of Superheroes, Justice Society of America. And everything's back to normal. So I wonder what DC is going to do now. Are they just going to go by what Jeff Johns have pretty much laid out, all these crises ahead? Or is just the only thing that benefit from Rebirth is Justice Society are back, Legion of Superheroes are back, and yeah, that's pretty much it. And Wally West, we'll see what happens with him in Flash Forward. I'll probably look up a video to see what happens to that, because I really don't want to read that series. What they've done with Wally West has been crap, alright? It has not been good. Overall, guys, this series, it's not a sequel to Watchmen. It isn't really. It's just a DC comic storyline with Watchmen characters in it. But then it answers all the questions to Rebirth other than Wally West. And it has a great ending, but I just don't think it was worth a whole, like, 4 to 5 year storyline. Like, if they would have went by the initial plan, this would have been the perfect ending. But in hindsight, it's more just like a great series to read standalone. But if you were like reading all these other tie-in comics, all these other series, expecting Doomsday Clock to make a big impact, it acts like it is. Like it says, like all these crises are coming together. Oh, this happened in this other comic. It acts like it does, but doesn't actually. Because all these other series are not really going by what Doomsday Clock laid out. Like, especially Tom King's run. If you look at Tom King's run, it goes totally against what Doomsday Clock is trying to say. It goes against what Batman, how his characters is in this one. So it's a totally different storylines, so it doesn't really connect. What I think DC Comics should do is have another crisis and bring all the current timeline together. Alright? Now they can say, oh, it's together now. But I don't really feel like that. I'm not saying like do a Crisis on Infinite type storyline, but do something to make us feel like, okay, everything is connected and everything's well. And every like comic that we read, we should go read it because it's connected to the other comic. Instead of just me being like, okay, I don't need to read Tom King's Batman because it has nothing to do with the Justice League comic. It has nothing to do with Doomsday Clock. Like, for granted, I still read that series and it ended not so well. But yeah, guys, like it's a great series. I'll give it a 9.3 out of 10 overall score, which is a symbol of Superman having hope, how he impacts the universe, which I like. I like that stuff. But I wish we got more. I wish the timing and the delays didn't happen. I wish that all didn't happen. I wish all these other writers like Tom King and some other writers too would actually like appreciate what Jeff Johns is doing in the series. But yeah, guys, that's the review. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, bro, make sure you subscribe to this channel because I release DC content every week that you don't want to miss. And guys, Christmas is in 2 days, I think. Yeah, 2 days. Pretty excited. I'm not going to release that much videos this week, but I'll be back pretty much by the end of the week, getting more reviews, more episodes, more videos out for you. So yeah, guys, that's the video, and peace out.